All right, so essentially, I was going to talk about Hermes agent and what is even Hermes agent, right? You hear all the stuff about using OpenClaw and all that kind of stuff. So let's break it down into just kind of like as simple as we can put it, right? I just told Claude to spin up a Hermes agent, and we have all these bunch of different things here, right? At the end of the day, Hermes is just a smart agent that does a great job of keeping context across all your different LLMs or your tools that you're using, and it really does a good job of managing the memory, right? So if you're using Gemini, if you're using Claude, if you're using OpenAI, you can kind of have it all talk to each other, which is really hard to do because you have to go into each platform and then it doesn't keep context, right? And there are certain things that each platform is good at. I actually do like OpenAI for talking to the actual voice AI that I don't know, for some reason it feels the most natural. ChatGPT still talks the best, I feel like. Gemini is really good at research. Claude is good overall for everything, right? So a little bit of both always trickled in there. So, anyways, I told Claude to kind of write me up everything that like whatever Hermes is, right? Describe it to me like I'm somebody new to learning. And so it came up with a nice little HTML document. And this is the best way that you should go about learning AI. Anything you don't understand, tell AI to write you it in a nice HTML file. And when it does that, it makes it a lot easier for you to kind of just conceptualize and understand the content versus a large, just like text, right? I think with the way AI is moving and how good it is at creating visuals, you're doing yourself a disservice by not telling it to always give you a nice and easy visual for you to understand. The best way that you learn, always tell the AI to prompt you in that way and to return back the information to you in that way for you to understand, right? So now there is no one style that fits all. I think visualization is the biggest key for me. I know some people are different, but I think human beings in general, we're just visual creatures. We love visuals, right? It makes everything a lot easier, and metaphors and similes and just analogies just help a lot. So, anyway, so this is the Hermes agent guide, right? What is Hermes? It's a universal control for room for AI agents. Instead of going to ChatGPT for one thing, Claude for another, Gemini, Hermes pretty much connects everything into one, which is so nice, right? Now, the main thing that Hermes stands out why it's really good and really popular nowadays is persistent memory across sessions. Most AI tools forget the moment you close a tab. Hermes has 8 different memory backends. So it has all of these different backends that remember who you are, what your preferences are, your projects, and what you talked about across every future conversation. That's the number one thing, right? So one interface, 25 AI models. I mean, you can do this with any other tool. You can create your own one where you can plug in different AI models. Is this just out the box and makes it really easy to import all of this so you don't have to code this entire agent thing yourself, right? Skills are mini instructions you give the agent. At the end of the day, an agent, right? I've created an agent for my work, right? An enterprise level agent. An agent at the end of the day is just a personality and memory, right? It's just those two things put together in a really good way. The personality is how the agent talks to you, what type of information it knows, what systems and tools, you know, it it's kind of like the way it reacts to you, the way it talks to you. It's kind of like if you were going to, I don't know, design a basketball player, design an athlete or whatever. Is it somebody who's a center? Is it somebody who's a guard? He's fast or slow, big, strong. Like, there's little different facets. Every agent has its own personality and the way it responds to you. And then also like your business, it knows how you operate. So you kind of put that all into its actual personality, right? Which is going to be how the agent just talks to you and responds to you and does your task for you. And then the memory is just kind of all the information that it has access to and it can remember it and it can recall, right? So, hey, what happened on March 14th? What was the shipping deadline that we had? How many items were shipped out that day? Or whatever, like let's say you had a warehouse and there were so many transactions and orders. You have orders worth of like 100,000, quantity of orders that happened in the last like 6 months. Essentially, the agent would be able to access all this memory, all this order history in a really good and smart way, and then it'll put that information in the way that you want it to, which is the personality you kind of give it, right? That's all it is. Now, what Hermes is really special at is really good at the persistent memory. It's really good at unifying everything, but it's really good at recalling that memory that you have. So a lot of times when you're in a database and you don't vectorize your database and it's just a large list of, let's say, 100,000 orders, for AI to kind of find what you're looking for, it has to go through every line item, right? If you're like, hey, find me what happened on March 14th regarding, or let's just say you don't specify a date, but you're just like, hey, find me an order which for the new iPhone 17, right? So it would kind of go through and it would look up keywords for iPhone 17, or if you just said, hey, find me all the orders for cell phones. Now, if that's the case, then it has to kind of like know the context. It has to go through every line to figure out like, hey, what falls into the bucket of that. Or what you can do is you can vectorize this, and then when you do semantic searches, AI would be able to pull up, like when you say cell phone, you also mean mobile phone. You also mean mobile. You also mean iPhone. You also mean like Android. It just it knows it because it's related similarly in pretty much a vector is how similar something might be when you do like a semantic search. So vectors are just like it takes a word and it kind of creates a number associated with it, which is easier for the computer to understand. Now we're getting to, I don't even know what I'm talking about. All that to say, I'm learning this shit myself, guys. I've been in tech forever, but at the same time, like, it gets detailed. You don't have to always know it, but it's nice to know, and it's always good to ask questions. Anyways, this is a Hermes agent. The skills, every agent has skills that you can kind of give it. Plugins, this is cool. Plugins adds new tools the agent can use. So like if you have a YouTube MCP, Spotify MCP, if they have it available, you can kind of give it these plugins that it can go ahead and use, right? How are plugins different from skills? Skills are like a set of instructions. So how to make sushi, it has a skill from the top to bottom, right? Tools are like, how do you use a sushi knife, right? How do you use the knife? Like it might be able to give you ability to pick it up and use it in certain ways, whereas like skills are like set by set instructions. This is more of so like a tool, like a capability, like all of a sudden you know how to use a knife, right? It's like a power up, like, oh, you know how to fly now, right? Flying isn't like necessarily, it's like this new capability that you all of a sudden just got. Whereas skills, you kind of have to learn it, right? You learn how to fly properly, but to get the actual capability, you need to have like the plugin for it, right? And that gives you access to it. So like searching on YouTube, controlling Spotify, you can't just put a line by line item about like, hey, this is how you search, or this is how you can control Spotify. You need to actually connect to Spotify's API and let Spotify authenticate with your system, and then go ahead and have the control Spotify, stop a song, play a song, and all that. Runs everywhere. You own everything, which is nice. Runs on your machine. Data stays local. No subscription fees. Sessions are saved. Models. Your default model is Cloud Sonnet, but Hermes can switch between dozens of AI models depending on what you need. Currently available. All available providers. Add your API key. Use Open Router to access 200 models with one key. Great for experimenting with that. What is Open Router? Better prices, better uptime. 100 monthly tokens, 10 million globals. This is a pretty cool model, right? You give it pretty much. How much does it cost? Kind of want to sign up for this and see how much it costs. It would be a great use case for this. The only issue is that it wouldn't be connected to like my Claude on the web or like the actual ChatGPT app and stuff. So for me to access, I don't know how this works. It would just be API access. So I wonder what happens if you not lose it, but what's the price for this? Individual, your API key. Okay. Unified access. How much does it cost? This is a real thing. Cost. Anyways, let's just go back to stay of the course. I wanted to check out Open Router. Skills are instructions that change how your agent behaves. Think of them like giving your assistant a training manual for a specific job. Apple, data science, DevOps, GitHub. Plugins, the skills are instruction, and plugins are actions. They add real capabilities. The agent can execute, call APIs. Your active plugins pulls videos from YouTube, TikTok, and transcribes them into a searchable library. That's the one that I just created, right? You add like a creator. I wanted to create a custom plugin where you can go ahead and add like a creator's name on YouTube, and it kind of pulls in all their information. Built-in plugin categories. Your phase 2, you already have a plan to build dashboard for. That's exactly what Hermes is meant to be extended. Build your tools as plugins with their own UI tab. Memory system. This is what everyone talks about when they say Hermes is great. You have 8 different memory backends to choose from. Popular persistent memory layer, remember fact, persistent, super memory, bio. With Hermes, my agent knows. Cron jobs. Hermes does a really good job of scheduling tasks. Cron jobs are just scheduled tasks. That's how computers kind of like talk. This language right here, when you type in the asterisk, this is how cron jobs work. It's been a thing forever. This is how people used to run scheduled jobs automatically on Windows machines, especially on like VM servers. I remember like on my old job, like almost 10 years ago, we like on Windows machine, you would pretty much just have like a script, and if you wanted to run every day at 9 a.m., you would pretty much write this, right? You would write this is a cron job, and it would run scheduled tasks, right? That's all it is. So it's just what Claude Cowork and everything is trying to sell you on. This scheduled task has been around forever. It's just making it easier with AI and these different tools and stuff you can connect to without writing the actual script, where we used to write the script before in code, right? Profiles, different configurations, right? Config. Keys, Kanban board, documentation, Claude OAuth versus API key. This means you're authenticated through the browser. Wait, I'm connected via OAuth? I thought it was. Is that still a thing? Can I use I thought they took that away. Yeah, all agent 30-party OAuth usage gets decoupled from your subscription, moved to a separate monthly credit pool, billed at API rates. Your Cloud. It's being deprecated. Hermes was using Cloud Code OAuth, credential reuse path, and Anthropic is already restricting those tokens for anything that's not their official Cloud CLI. Your options right now: Anthropic pay per use, no subscription drama expensive. Open Router also pay per use, no OAuth. API is the cleanest fix for now. Codex, open code, whatever. Cloud options already. I was thinking making Codex just for this particular capability, even if I'm wrong. I think it's really good. At least you might want to pair it with the cheap model and have a delegated Codex for harder stuff if you feel like you're hitting your limits. Try using. I think I asked Hermes how to use Cloud Sub after a change. Apparently there's an interactive mode that you can still use Cloud Code Sub. I've been thinking about trying it. I'm using it and it's pretty flaky, as in not very fast. Also the costing on delegating. So I guess Codex is the way. So the issue with not having it connected via OAuth is that if you're using an API, it's different than when you're paying a monthly subscription. So I'm paying like $100 a month, right? So I can't use the $100 a month gives you a certain level of tokens. I forgot how much it is, and I think it resets every time. If you go over it within like a couple hours, you have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait. I haven't hit my origin in a while, but the API is completely different, right? That's in this completely different billing. So the API one, it's billed completely different from your monthly subscription, and it costs more, right? Overall, if you're using it a lot, if you were using this a lot, the API one you would have to pay separately along with your Cloud Codes Max subscription, whatever you have, which is kind of annoying because it would be so nice to just connect your Claude like you do in your terminal, like we're talking to it right here, right? And then just have that connected, but it's annoying. Anyways, changing the dashboard themes. Could you build your own Hermes? Yes, technically, but here's the honest breakdown, right? Multi-LLM routing, this is the part that Hermes is already done for you. It's kind of a lot of annoying. I'm gonna dive deeper into each one of these because I'm gonna ask Cloud to talk about each of these and why Hermes makes it a lot easier for you to do. Memory system, complex vector DB setup plus 8 provider integrations, 8 options, toggle and config. React app, few weeks to build. It does not take a few weeks. It would probably take a few days. Built and maintained by Noah's Research. Plugin system, design a whole extension architecture, well-defined plugin API. You just write the plugin. I mean, yeah, you don't need every single plugin. Each platform, Telegram, Discord, separate project. 27 platforms built in. So this is like Slack and how you can connect and talk to it. I think custom tools. You write these either way. That's whatever. 100% yours. Open source. You own your own data. You created Intel's Phase 2 dashboard. Custom skills. Custom personalities, custom cron workflow logs. Okay, let's dive into these. Okay, I love this file, right? That it created for me. This makes it really great. There's a couple things that I feel like I should add more to it in a little bit more detail, but it's a great way to get started with just knowing what all this is, right? Versus just looking at all this, you're just like, what's going on here? So let's go ahead and ask it a few questions. Okay, so I heard that Claude OAuth, Anthropic has limited use from OAuthing into like something like Hermes, and you have to use an API key instead. So I think Codex might work a little bit better, but also what other API keys? I have Gemini 2. I do have Cloud Code. I don't know how much money I have in my API, but I can connect all 3 of those. Can you go into a little bit more detail on exactly how the memory works and how the whole API routing works for all the 200, what is it, how many, for all the API adapter work? So multi-LLM routing, how does our Hermes agent actually know the context from Claude and from Gemini, from OpenAI? How is it unifying all those different platforms and kind of giving us exactly what we need, and it's remembering all this context in itself, right? And then same with the memory system. We have 8 options. Which option's the best one? Which one should I even pick for that? So let's see what it comes up with. One thing I do need to create or upgrade is my voice to text. Like, I don't think I can ever type as much as I'm talking, because I spit a lot of information out. I'm constantly like talking, and it's just a lot. And sometimes it's easy to just talk, and it kind of organizes my thoughts for me, so I don't have to worry. Right, sorry. Anyways, Cloud was actually true, so I guess you could use it for an agent plan for language that's making dozen calls per session. API keys, right choice. I'll have to worry, but you'll hit limits fast, and it's not what it's designed for. You have all three. Here's what exactly you need to do. You add to your env file. Cloud API, Gemini API key. Cloud Code is already in. I'll have to leave it as it is. It'll be used as a fallback for Cloud Code tool specifically once those are in. How multi-LLM routing actually works, the real mechanisms. This is the part most people get wrong. Cloud and Gemini don't share a brain. Hermes is a brain, yeah. Here's the actual code. You send your message, Hermes conversation loop runs, selects provider, calls, gets transport, API, transport that convert. This is the key step. Sends full history to whichever model, converts the answer back to internal format appended to Hermes conversation history. Critical answer. Hermes keeps one master conversation history and OpenAI has message format internally. When you switch from Cloud to Gemini, Hermes takes the entire history, reformats for Gemini's VPN, sends it all over. System, Thropic, the models don't know how each other. Hermes is the one holding it all together, yeah. Which memory backend should you from your actual code? Here's an honest ranking for you to use. Mem0 API key. Best for artifact extraction, more thing you say without you doing anything. Honcho, deep user model learns how you think, not just what you said. Hindsight, knowledge graph, local first option with cloud backup. For you, pick Mem0. Here's why you're doing creative research, tracking trends. So I guess, I'm guessing like any of the stuff that I talk to you outside of Hermes, so like let's say I'm in the Gemini app and I make a conversation, or if I'm in ChatGPT's app and I have a conversation, or if I'm in Claude, these don't get pulled into Hermes. So essentially I have to use Hermes to have the conversation, or we pretty much lose all context if I ever use my phone for any of this stuff. Yes, that's right. And the most important practical thing to understand, Hermes only knows what happens inside. You don't have to sit in your computer talk, set up a Telegram bot. Yeah. It is a little annoying to always do that, but on them, that's Hermes or everything. I don't know if I care to really set up this whole thing, where it's just seems like a lot for a lot. A lot of people end up creating this, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I think it's just a big like most people will not need to do all this stuff, right? Like what essentially are you creating? Like I'm talking about the general public. Like if you're a coder, if you're somebody who's designing and doing like heavy intense software stuff, or even a huge like maybe I would imagine like I don't know, like what essentially are you routing three different agents for, three different, API keys, even four different models? What are you exactly asking like AI, right? Like what are you trying to build essentially? You really like, I don't think it's overkill necessarily, but if I just talk to Claude Code and I'm like, hey, can you spin this up and create this tool for me? It already does it. The only annoying thing is if you were somebody who loves using multiple different models, I think that's a huge thing that could bring it in together. But then as far as memory goes, if you spin up a Supabase and or any free database that you want, you can go ahead and vectorize it yourself. I think Hermes just does a really good job of having this all out the box, right? That's the biggest thing. And then it's they're out the box, but the only issue is that I feel like, it seems like a lot's going on here. Again, it's not. but it is. Like I'm somebody who's in tech, and I feel like, first time seeing this tool, there's so many different ways. I'm like, all right, this is pretty sick. Like, wow, like there's a lot going on here, right? Like, how do I even start a session from? Do I open a CLI here? How do I open up a freaking? I'm just being dumb, right? But it's just somebody who I've done zero research, and I just downloaded Hermes and I told Claude to, how can I open this up in the web? And 28 days ago, do I just ask it? I don't even know where I'm asking it. Where is it? How do I get the CLI to pop up, or for me to ask it questions? And I know I'm being really dumb right now. I'm sure it's the simplest thing in the world, but again, this is coming from somebody who's just downloaded it. I think generally most people do not need to use something like this. It seems like a little overkill, and I feel like it's something fun though. It's something fun that you should use, and then in the future, I think it'll just be even more encapsulated. Like you don't need for it to like I don't know. I think using something like Cowork is just so much more user friendly and stuff. I think most people are not really building anything crazy that they need this for. I think it's more of a gimmick, not a gimmicky thing, but I think it's definitely more of a just a personal project. Like if you really want to create a personal AI that has information to every part of your mind and brain, and that you are really using all the different LLMs and to like really hone down and get stuff that you need, it is pretty cool. Like you can automate so many different parts of your life if you do want to give it like everything you're doing at work, everything you're doing in your personal life, everything you're doing in your side projects, and you wanted to remember across all of it, and you're willing to always communicate with it through Slack or Telegram. Because I'll be honest with you, 90% or 99% of people's like work life, everything happens on their cell phone. If you cannot get something to seamlessly go back and forth between a cell phone and a desktop, or a computer like a laptop, you are pretty much not going to get you're not going to get, what do you call it, like user, you're not going to get a strong user base. You're just not. I think too many people are on their cell phone. Even there's sometimes where I just want to like organize my thoughts, and I'd rather sit on my cell phone than be on the desktop. Or like, it's just a lot sometimes to not be able to use your phone, and switching constantly back and forth, to always use your desktop, to always come in your office and sit in a room. Like you can't be on the go, you can't be portable. Obviously you can have a laptop, but then carrying a laptop around, even going to work, or going to like out with your friends or going to a dinner, you can't quickly check on it. You just seem like you're being very performative, because what exactly are you guys doing with it? But anyways, all that to say, I think this is super sick, right? And I haven't tried out their memory thing, and I'm sure it's amazing the way that it's being able to aggregate all this information and stuff. I personally think it's just a lot going on here. I would personally build it with Claude myself, unless I really plan to use, like I said, if we go back to the HTML, right, the thing that it highlighted about Hermes being so special is this, and a one interface for 25 different models, if you're using the API key for all of them, right? I think right now we're just getting completely dominated with Claude and Anthropic. If you were somebody who wants to create their own local models and use multiple different ones, so you're not reliant on one, I think it's really great. For skills, you can create skills on anything. Oh, plugins too. You don't have to worry about just using Hermes for plugins for skills. Same with this. You can kind of set up anything that you built to use Botfather and Discord. It's just already kind of built into everything. So I would say all of this, even the interface you can create. And again, you can do all of these things too. It's just out of the box. It just makes it convenient for you, right? It's just a quick solution. It's easy solution to do all of it. But I think I would prefer to kind of create my own dashboard, customize it my own self, and have all of, I don't know, maybe I just change how this looks. Maybe I don't like how the way it looks, but it has everything out the box. And why not keep it, right? It's done all the hard work for you and the routing for you. So I mean, at that point, you can just tell Claude to like organize it in a way that you want it to. It could do whatever. So I think it's a great base. Do I think most people need it? Probably not. I think it's definitely you're gonna run out of things for like, what are you guys putting in this triage and to do, unless you have a business or something to actually use a software to push it out. I don't know what you're constantly doing in here. Like send an email every day at 7 a.m. You don't need Hermes to do that. like what are you gonna summarize every single meeting that I've had personally? Like I don't know. Like are you most people are not gonna connect this to their enterprise laptop. You're not gonna get permission and authorization to connect this to your work laptop, to your enterprise level stuff, right? This is so you can't even do that. And if you're putting your computer like sensitive data in here, work data in here, pretty sure if you ever got found out about that, that would be a violation or whatever, right? They would not be happy about that. So it's kind of like in your personal life, what exactly it is that you're doing that you need to do constant schedule tasks, to do tasks, besides the typical checking emails, making sure I walk the dog or something, making sure that I, you know, like do this. Unless you're working on a side project. Like I said, I think I like you just using Cloud Code or just Codex or whatever and spinning up my own thing for a simple like project that I'm doing instead of having this little Hermes agent plugin. I think the really huge thing would be that if I can get all the chats unified, because, and I don't think that's gonna happen because then, at that point it's kind of like people would rather pay for an all-in-one tool than to individually like subscribe to Gemini or Claude or OpenAI. But there's a lot of times where I'm just like out and about and I'll ask Claude questions on my mobile phone. I'll ask Gemini. I'll quickly upload a picture. I actually upload photos more on Gemini to ask questions because it's just a little bit quicker and it's easier for me to use our interface to upload than to open up Claude. Sometimes Claude's a little, compared to the Gemini app, at least recently on Android, it's a little bit more bloated. And then whenever I want to have an actual voice to text conversation or just voice to voice, I will use ChatGPT's actually like voice prompt or whatever voice agent. It's so much easier for me to talk to ChatGPT, right? Claude just I haven't used it in the last 3 weeks. Maybe Claude got better. Claude sounds too much like AI. ChatGPT sounds more natural. So and I can't pull in that data into here, so it's kind of pointless, right? I want to be able to put all three apps, all those things into here, and I can't do that. Then I don't see the reason to use Hermes personally. And I think it's just something you guys should shuffle, play around with and have fun with. But for it to be this popular and this downloaded,